So we just crossed over the Williamsburg Bridge. We're finding parking. It's COVID. It's our first in-person interview in this whole pandemic. I had met Sei a week ago in Bowery. We were painting murals. I was hanging out with Charlie Hudson. We were just casually hanging. I was sitting on a ladder as he was painting his mural. We were catching up. And Sei rolls by with a pack of cigarettes for Charlie. His energy was contagious. He was all about the art world, all about getting his ideas heard. So I invited him to be a guest on Tip and Tell. Ian and I are prepping. Sei Smith exits his apartment and welcomes us in.
Hello, how are you? Your place is fancy as fuck.
What's up, Seth?
This is Ian.
Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to begin.
He's calm, but he's energetic and excitable.
Yeah, do you need help carrying anything? That'd be great if you're willing to.
He's super generous, very casual, barefooted, baggy pants like the elephant pants from Thailand.
We're over.
Whoa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yo, this is sick.
We walk down into his apartment. It's really airy. There's high ceilings. It's modern, wood floors, beautiful. It's a beautiful place. There's almost nothing in it, only artwork.
This is just your gallery space? This is a...
Yeah. Oh, no, this is just my apartment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He lives here.
It really does have a gallery feel. His work populates the energy. It's intriguing. You definitely know he's an artist. There's no Wi-Fi. In the middle of the kitchen, there are shoes hanging maybe a foot above the ground, elevated on this pedestal that's hovering above. The bottom of the shoes are painted, so the reflection of the paint and the light casts this red shadow.
Mm-hmm. But these shoes I put there because at first, when I first came here, I didn't have a table, and it was looking nice and weird. And I put a table, and I thought maybe it looks a little like a regular apartment. So then I hung the shoes from the ceiling.
Maybe
and I
it looks
thought,
too much
all
like
right. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't have any curtains, so people just stare in at me. And so I like to make it look like a strange place, so they say, well, maybe I won't rob this spot
maybe I won't come
because
there's shoes hanging.
yeah, it doesn't look like a real house.
His basement is indeed a gallery space, but also a bit of a storage space for his brother Keith Smith.
These are, boxes for painting. So if like people come and they're like, I like this, I say, I've got something to ship it out in.
Let's just sell this baby right here, right now.
And I say, give me the money.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah, right now. I don't even want that shit
I
on.
just say, what's in your wallet?
Is this where you sleep?
No, this is a little guest room.
There's a guest bedroom with a sleeping pad on the floor, nothing else. His bedroom is just a mattress on the floor, a little side table, his work all over. I asked to pee. I explore the bathroom. No bathroom mirror.
And instead of having a mirror, I just put a reflection piece up there.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
So you can see yourself, but mostly you're just looking at my art when you try to look at yourself in the mirror.
I'm everywhere.
Yeah. And that's really my art. You're always trying to look at yourself, and you end up looking at my art.
Hey, welcome to Tip and Tell, baby. A casual conversation with professional artists. I'm your host, Sid Williams.
We just took a tour.
Yeah, we just took a tour. We're slightly sweating. It's hot as fuck. And I'm happy.
I don't remember who suggested.
I love the outdoors. I don't care if I sweat. I think it's good for you.
Yeah.
So I'm here with Sei Smith in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, at his humble abode. He's welcomed Ian and I here. So, Sei, your brother owns a gallery. You're born and bred New York City, baby. And that's really all I know about you. So this interview is going to be intriguing. I don't know much. So you grew up in Bowery.
I grew up, in the East Village and Lower East Side. And I was born in Soho. I'm Prince and Elizabeth.
Oh,
but
yes.
then I moved out when I was 1 year old. And we moved over to Christie, like below Houston, and then over to 2nd and Bowery.
How was growing up in New York City? Did it make you feel like being an artist was extraordinarily accessible because your mom and your grandparents? Yeah. Did you know you were always an artist?
No, I guess when I was real little, I wanted to be an explorer. And then as I learned more about geography, I was like, have all
Not
the
much.
lands been
Not much left.
Yeah, I started playing the game Risk, and I was like,
yeah.
We've already, But when I was growing up, my mom was an artist, and my dad makes documentaries and TV and stuff. My grandparents were artists. And then a lot of my friends' parents were artists. So there was a lot of artists around. Most of the adults, or not most, but a fair amount of them when I was growing up were artists. So I guess in the back of my mind, I thought that's what adults probably do.
Yeah, they just play.
Yeah, to make art. Yeah, but I never really thought about it so much. I guess when I was like in high school, well, also my school that I went to was like pretty art focused. It was the Rudolf Steiner School.
Oh, yeah.
But
a lot
yeah,
of theater.
Yeah, and different. Yeah, I was in like
experimental shit.
Pride and Prejudice and stuff.
Oh yeah, you were, Mr. Darcy.
But then I went to like a college, one of those college fairs, and the person from SAIC, the Art Institute of Chicago, seemed pretty cool, and so I applied to that school, and I did this like early student thing where you just go and you just have an interview, and then they tell you if you got in.
Nice. Did you have to bring a portfolio?
Yeah. You just come with your portfolio and you talk to someone, and then at the end of the day, they're like, okay.
Were you making more realistic
accepted.
work then?
Yeah, some more realistic stuff and a lot of ballpoint pen drawings and things. And I was also making like kind of experimental film kind of stuff, like little movies. And so my portfolio had like all that kind of stuff, and like oil paintings, I guess. And it was a little more like surreal kind of things.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's kind of like a high school
Where
style.
you start, totally.
Yeah.
Ballpoint pen, you start, I have freedom in my hands, and then
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
I make the world just a little different? I was really into like illustrating Allen Ginsberg poems when I was 17.
Oh, nice.
Because words have always been challenging for me. So I wanted to like see how I could expand his thoughts that I thought were really revolutionary at like a 16, 17-year-old mind. And I was like, how do I make this even more applicable to me? Because I am not a gay man.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think going to art school changed your practice drastically?
Maybe a little bit. Actually, the one thing was they had this thing at SAC called the Advanced Painting Program or whatever, and you like could apply to it, and you had, again, like an interview, and you brought work and stuff. And then it would be like 12 kids every year or something. And then I got into that too. And then that
So
was
you're like,
really
I
nice.
must be a baller.
Yeah. I was like, it's true. But most of my life has been about my own supremacy over my peers. And it's not,
hasn't failed yet.
Yeah. Well, actually, the funny thing was like I homeschooled until 6th grade. And so I was like homeschooling.
With your brothers?
Yeah, with my brothers, yeah.
Yeah.
And then in 6th grade I
Did
went
your
to
mama teach you?
Yeah. And then we did like little other classes around the city and
fun.
stuff. And so, yeah, it was pretty fun. But then in 6th grade, I went to this school upstate, and there was like 10 kids in class. And I guess because I was homeschooling, you can learn at any speed. So I'd learned a lot of the stuff that they were doing. Also, I grew really tall when I was young, so I was like the tallest kid in the class. And I like knew more than all these kids, so I was like, I must be a freaking genius, and I'm taller than everyone. Everyone thinks I'm so great. And I got this really big inflated ego at like age 12. Cause like once,
and that's when you should be at the pivotal worst spot in your like emotional
and everyone was just so
maturity.
validating.
So like, was it weird for you? I mean, it does sound like it was a small class, but was it weird for you to hop into like a school kind of setting?
I mean, I feel like there wasn't maybe the same kind of social dynamics that exist in school, because I kind of jumped in, and it was upstate, and I was like from New York City, and I was taller than everyone, and I knew all the stuff and things, and so it like kind of seemed to form around me, and I was like, man, school is amazing. I don't know why I didn't go
I don't know why
earlier.
I resisted.
Yeah, because like when I enter the classroom, people are clapping, and it's like, this is a great experience.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and
That's
it was
amazing.
like, but it was fun, and then, but it was,
Did high school kick your ass? Did you get
No,
have you had your ass kicked yet?
No, that's the
Do
problem.
you want me to kick your ass?
Yeah, someone should.
I am.
My life has just been a series of like validation and
events.
privilege and just nice things all the time.
Wow.
When like things go like this for so long, like as you become more and more self-aware and stuff, you're like, wow, having like all this just privilege of experience and of non-trauma and stuff is kind of like this responsibility, because I feel like I've gone through the world and I have this like perspective maybe that is like pretty different than a lot of people, and I don't know what the different like weird mixture of experience or where I grew up or who I was or different things like contributed to it, but it has given me a weird perspective where I've kind of detached from a lot of the direct, maybe emotional turmoil of different situations. Sometimes I feel kind of like an alien a little bit in that, but then I feel like, okay, what can I see maybe from this perspective that can be helpful, that I can like maybe make a bridge.
Since you've lived such a privileged existence, do you want to seek something that challenges you and outside your comfort zone?
Well, maybe, I guess the thing, I do kind of like, uncomfortable things, but also I don't feel uncomfortable so often, I guess. So, well, the other thing too is I realized that like a lot of feeling like really privileged and so comfy is also my own delusions and blind spots and ignorance and stuff. Sometimes I think it's a balance between like allowing ignorance to give you some kind of safety and then acknowledging it to understand where that ignorance could be like harmful as you move through the world. And seeing like, okay, how are these ripple effects extending outside of my existence?
Often there's ripple effects that you'll never be able to acknowledge or see. So
it's true. Yeah.
It is this fine line of knowing your privilege, knowing your voice, knowing your perspective, and merging it with people's.
Yeah, it's true.
And
and because it's like I don't know, it's fun to go through the world having like enjoying life.
Yeah, it is fun to enjoy things.
Yeah, and I think sometimes maybe people who have enviable lives don't enjoy them, and I think maybe that's unfortunate, because I think the one thing you can do is to enjoy a life that is good because, well, I don't know.
Why not? I think you can enjoy any life.
Yeah, also when you see other people enjoying themselves, it always makes me smile. Like, it makes you feel better about your life when you see people, like, enjoying, because you're like, look, people go through the world and they really find everything. I think people are really adaptable. The best thing is to have, like, a multifaceted view and approach to everything. And even, like, language. Like, language can be communicative, and it can be about discussing knowledge and passing information and stuff. And it's also just, like, cool sounds. And like, that's
how I feel about birds.
Yeah. It's true.
Ian's really obsessed with all sounds.
With sounds, Being self-aware or introspective also can be looked at from so many different viewpoints. And if it's looked at from a singular viewpoint, I think it becomes, it doesn't become as helpful.
Yeah.
And so maybe it can be used as like a singular meditation for a specific task. Or maybe introspective can be used to like change the way that you move through the world and to make yourself more aware of certain things.
Is your work intuitive?
I guess like what I do with lots of my work, I guess, is like I come up with a lot of systems, like pretty strict rules and ideas and like maybe like thoughts that I'm trying to address in different things in like critical theory or art history or whatever that I'm thinking about. And I set up all these like parameters, but then when I start painting,
it all goes out the window?
Yeah, it's just like improvisation. It's the same as like making music. Like with jazz, you have like this chord like the standard chord progressions, which I think in jazz is 1, 2, 5. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's it's 1, 2, 5 or 2, 5, 1 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And so there's that, and then within that, people are like improvising, going all over the place. And so I guess I kind of approach making art in a similar thing, like, but instead of using maybe like standard structures, I try to come up with my own kind of like chord progression for visual art. And then I go improv on it.
Yeah.
And I get kind of funky. And
you
then,
get stylized.
Yeah. I guess it's similar to what I was saying about different perspectives and points of views. Like I'll take something like with these ones that are reflections of fluorescent colors. I'll see like, okay, this is a singular phenomenon. And it's really simple. And it's a one thing that happens. Like you paint with this bright paint and light shines off of it and the shadows are colored. And then I'm like, how many different ways can I approach it? How many different viewpoints can I think about it in? So I can look at it from the idea of light and color in relation to space, like how far away from the wall that is to diffuse the saturation of it. Or then I can think about it in like a color theory idea of like, okay, here's this phenomenon and how does it affect color theory in the way that colors blend? So like yellow next to red with this thing, it makes this nice orange, but then green next to red creates a white line and the color disappears. Or then there's other ways of approaching it, like I think like, okay, what if I make them really big enough that people can walk through them? And how does this phenomenon work if you're just looking at it like a singular object, or how does it work if you're able to walk through it and become part of it, where it's like a movement kind of thing?
Yeah.
And so I guess I take like a simple idea and then try to think of all the different ways you can explore.
How do you know when you have exhausted an idea? You're just over it?
No, I think there's never an exhaustion of ideas because I think I try to keep them so simple. And I guess that's when I know I have like an idea that I think will be good as an art series. It's like an idea that is so simple that I can approach all life through that idea.
That have a universal effect.
Yeah, and so that I can take like with these newer ones I'm doing with iridescent film. It's this shiny film that you can see through sometimes because there's a transparency, but also it reflects out, and it also plays with the light and it changes as you move your head. The colors of the film change
fun.
and stuff.
How is it being in the world as an artist?
Oh,
How old are you?
30. I just turned 30.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
happy belated.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, no, I mean like six months ago.
Happy belated. When's your birthday?
January 2nd.
Oh, all right.
In the scope of my life, it's pretty recent.
Yeah, this is true.
I only missed one day of the 90s.
God damn it. I'm a bull, but I'm a bull.
Yeah.
Libra.
You're a Libra?
Libra.
Are you a Capricorn?
Yeah, Capricorn.
So we're both earth signs.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself to be grounded?
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty grounded.
Does making art ground you or accelerate you?
I guess the thing is the way I kind of approach art, I kind of approach everything like a hobby.
Okay.
I think everything's kind of just like, this is how I spend my spare time.
Something lighter.
Like I work as like an artist assistant, like studio managers or whatever for different artists. But even if I was like selling and making a bunch of money, like millions of dollars selling art or whatever, I would still want to work a part-time job because it's like, it's fun. I like working jobs because that's like a fun way to pass the time. And then like art and music and writing screenplays and stuff, it's just like, it's just a way to pass the time. And I try to schedule the most time flexibility so I can always wake up and who knows what I'm going to do. Like there was that MTV show called Viva La Bam.
Classic.
Yeah. And it would open with this shot and Bam Margera was up on the roof and they were like, Bam, what are you going to do today? And he's like, whatever the fuck I want. And then he like jumps off the roof with his skateboard. But it probably made a big impression on me because that's how I wake up every day and there's a voiceover that says, hey, what are you going to do today?
Whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I like that approach to art making.
I think it's kind of nice to think about like everything you do as like a hobby because it's like you're just doing it because it's just a great way to spend your life.
Just prioritizing whatever the fuck you need to do at that very moment. It's
Yeah.
like, or whatever you just is calling, you know, whether that's spending like a lot of time with a grandparent or,
It's true, yeah.
you know, it really is just having the flexibility to plug yourself where your heart's telling you that you should be.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about art is because like, I mean, you can like sell a painting and it like gives you a bunch of money and then you can be chilling. But if you're also working a part-time job the whole time, then that money's just extra money.
Who's your favorite artist that you've worked for?
I like this guy I work for, Tona. GT Polizzi is his artist name.
Oh,
And also my grandfather, I work for him, and
Oh,
my
you
grandparent,
did?
and my
Okay.
grandmother, and they're great too.
Yeah,
Tadaki Kuwayama,
Yeah.
Rakugo Naito, yeah.
You could say their names again.
Rakugo Naito and Tadaki Kuwayama, and GT Polizzi.
Those are some serious names.
Yeah, and Gianmendico Tonatio Polizzi.
I know your grandparents.
Yeah.
Just because your grandma was in a show with Dorothea when I
yeah.
first started working, and I looked at her work because they were in a Blum and Poe show together. But I don't know GT, but maybe I should.
Yeah, his stuff's real good.
That's the thing about the art world. It's so expansive that you're always discovering new things. It depends on like, you know, there's no possible way I could ever know everybody.
I mean, I don't really know that much. I think the funny thing is, like, growing up around a lot of art and stuff, just like going to art school and whatever, you like just pick up a lot of like art history and different things and like who all the different artists are.
Learning the art world is like learning a language. It's kind of exciting to see how things came to be and why, and what we should return to.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
like
true.
I really definitely think we should return to some form of artist union, especially in these times. Can you tell me a brief history of your friends and your family that have influenced you in your art world to date?
Okay, so my grandparents, they moved to New York in the late 50s. And they had just graduated art school in Tokyo, and then they moved to New York because New York was just where art was happening. And back then, too, it was a real small scene. Eventually, they met this guy, Dick Bellamy.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, he was
Started a lot of
Yeah, he
things,
started.
yeah.
Yeah, so he had this gallery, the Green Gallery, And so my grandfather showed there, and he was in some of the early shows. And then through that, he met, like Donald Judd and Frank Stella and...
Frank Stella's great.
Yeah.
His wife is a kind woman.
Yeah, he's cool.
Donald Judd, I heard, is kind of an asshole.
Yeah. Well, him and my grandfather were pretty good friends. They
Maybe
liked
your
each other.
grandfather was an asshole.
Yeah, no. I think my grandfather just doesn't think anyone's an asshole. He likes everybody. No.
That does also help.
I guess Donald Judd likes sake. My grandfather loves
Provided
it.
sake.
So they love
So
drinking
checked
sake
out.
together. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a little thing.
So, yeah.
What type of work did your grandfather, was he a painter, a sculptor?
Yeah, so he was a painter, and he did like really minimalist monochrome stuff. So some of that really early 60s thing, because that was the whole scene there, and he was like one of the early people who was
it became in the 50s.
Minimalism and stuff. Yeah.
When it was happening, that was Black Mountain College really pumped people out into New York City and started the minimalist culture. So
my grandfather was like there and part of that whole scene, but he was also kind of like not fully into it because he was like, he had his family, whatever, and he was just doing his own thing too, but in tandem kind of.
Yeah.
So he does like these minimalist kind of monochrome works. It has to do a lot with like neutrality and space and the idea of taking the artist's hand out of things and having things be these endless series. So creating paintings that can be, repeated, like patterns that repeat into eternity and stuff like that. And my grandmother works with. She did like some op art in like the 60s and then did these paintings of flowers in the 70s. And then starting in around the 80s, she was working with cutting paper and like organizing these lines of paper and creating these like also kind of minimalistic monochromes of maybe like a series of rolled papers all in a square or like cotton balls all together. And it's like these patterns of accumulated and arrange things.
Has her work changed more in her lifetime than your grandfather's?
Yeah, kind of. Well, because my grandfather, he went through different phases where he was working with like primary colors and then other acrylic colors and then into metallics and then in manufacturing and working with titanium and aluminum and these different things.
Yeah,
and so different...
that was big. Richard Serra, steel. Everyone went from plastics to steel.
Yeah.
It was totally the evolution of the time, too. And the evolution of where you live.
Yeah.
Canal Street and all of those industrial materials, they really like fueled the art world that was happening. Yeah,
materially, there's been a lot of change and stuff, but then conceptually it kind of has there's like this through line and a cyclical thing where it's the same process as the ones from the 60s.
Oh, amazing.
But they kind of have sometimes a little different look just because of the refining. It's been like, I feel like a refining, yeah. And then GT Polizzi, the other artist I work for, he started or was one of the founding members of the Bruce High Quality Foundation, which was like this group and an alternative art education and artist collective kind of thing.
Okay. Is that still happening?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they disbanded. But for a little while they had like a school or something.
There are not many schools like that anymore.
Yeah.
If anything, I think the MFA program has industrialized the art world to such a degree that it's really made it into bohemian isn't even a thing because the illusion of like lifestyle is dismantled.
Yeah.
You were talking about, I forgot who you were talking about, but he said that you're so bohemian.
Oh, Feng.
Feng Bui. Yeah.
I just think that's like an interesting story because I don't think I know any Bohemians.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm a Bohemian, but I'm wearing these little tight pants.
And he's got
those
are Buddha pants, elephant pants.
Yeah, or just they're from Thailand.
Yeah, they're big in the yoga community. Should we get more into GT's work?
Yeah, so GT. So then he kind of left the Bruce High Quality Foundation.
Your GT or your grandfather?
Yeah, GT. It's interesting too. He has a bunch of kind of different processes for making these different series of works, and it's really just like also a system of parameters. He'll have canvas and he'll put this string through oil paint and then pick it up and snap it down.
Oh, nice.
And so it creates these lines, and then you can create a pattern through that.
Yeah. Does he make his own work?
Well, sometimes I make the work too. Mm-hmm. But then the way it is like when I first started working with him was he had this show at Mary Boone, and he needed some help for the line snapping mostly, because you need a second person to hold it. So two people hold it, and then one person snaps it down. And so I was helping him do those, and then he showed me how he makes the light sculpture. So then I learned how to do that, like cut the conduit and wire everything and do the wiring for the plugs. And so now with that, since now I know how to do these light sculptures, he's in Mexico City and his studio's in New York. And so sometimes he'll send me drawings of the lights and then
Tell you to make the sculpture.
So I can just like
Yeah.
construct it.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty fun too, because since we've already worked together to do it, I know
There's a lot
the
of
process.
trust. Yeah.
And so then he can just send me drawings and we can do it.
You represent by Sei Smith Gallery, or
Yeah, I guess
your
so.
brother.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I'm nowhere without my sister.
Oh yeah.
Just-
I mean, I guess I'm representing. I don't know what he does. He doesn't sell my work that well. I make more money outside with selling my own stuff. No. He does an okay job.
I'm really sweating.
So like you said you'll help out and make work. Does he get all the credit for the stuff you put together? It is technically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
like 90% of the art world functions,
Right.
except Dorothea.
Oh right, yeah.
She makes her own work.
He pays me and then I make the
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
It's his idea. It's just like he's contracting you. To
Yeah.
put it together.
Being an art assistant in that kind of way too, it kind of informs the way that I make art and stuff too, because it really is about the idea and creating a system for making. And the actual making is kind of just a way to pass the time
Yeah.
for me. But also sometimes I'm like, I would make more art and maybe better art if someone else was making the art for me.
Okay.
You know? Like I
Yeah.
feel like eventually.
Are you a solid draftsman? Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
have technical skills. I mean, I've saw even in your mom's place, the drawing of the woman.
Oh yeah.
Like, technically, your drawing skills are...
Yeah, I used to figure drawing and
especially
'cause-
if you were working in ink as a kid, then that's kind of where you start.
Yeah, and I did a lot of I did all those fundamentals and
So
whatever.
I wonder why do you think
Yeah.
somebody else making your art would be better?
Well, then it would allow me to focus more on writing
Thinking?
screenplays.
Yeah, and just doing something else that it... And
Yeah,
do you
or-
get bored by making your own artwork sometimes? Like, you've thought the thoughts and now you
yeah,
just,
yeah.
like, don't really
Sometimes.
care about the execution as much?
Yeah, and the funny thing is like when I'm actually doing the stuff, it is like these weird moments of improvisation where I'll do stuff that I discover new things
Yeah.
and create kind of new bodies of work. But at the same time, I think that maybe coming up with a system is the thing that seems like important to the art and to the experience of someone else looking at the art. And then the process could even be more collaborative, and maybe that would be even more interesting.
It would add a different energy for sure.
It's like movie making too. It's like
Yeah.
making films. There's such a big production team, and you could technically make a movie doing
By yourself.
everything
Yeah,
yourself.
by yourself.
But it would be a very strange movie.
Yeah.
And so it's weird that art is like that. It's so valued, this individual force of nature, like being like, I did it all myself, and
I
look
don't
at
like
look
it
at my
either.
skills, and like look at
Yeah.
all this stuff. Because it's like in any other medium, it seems like very
It
weird and
doesn't
control
matter,
freaky.
yeah.
And so like
I totally agree with
Yeah,
you.
so I don't-
think
yeah.
that's also a huge reason why I started this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I felt very isolated. I like hanging out with my friends
Yeah.
too. When an exciting idea happens, the energy of something bouncing around
Yeah.
feels good.
Yeah. No, it's
Like,
totally
and to
true.
share that with somebody is nice. And I think the like stereotype of an artist alone in their studio
Yeah.
is
It's
like
so
a
silly.
kind of sometimes a sad stereotype.
Yeah.
Which is true. Like, I've been alone in my studio late night, whatever, many days in a row if there's something that like I need to get out.
right.
Oh, but
It's true.
it's
yeah.
not all the time.
It's true. And even like I always don't like the romanticization of like genius.
Yeah.
And because the thing is also like being called a genius at such a young age. No. No. Yeah, you start to realize there's no merit in that term.
It means nothing.
Who am I? No.
Oh, so good.
But ideas are really simple,
Yeah.
and they're really easy.
I
And
think we as humans kind of mucked up the human experience.
and what's hard is maybe collaboratively understanding ideas, but coming up
Yeah.
with ideas, that's simple.
And also collaboratively, just working together with different personalities. You need to find the people that
Yeah.
let go.
It's true, and actually that's how I view most of my art, as a collaboration between me and then whoever's looking at it. And so that's why a lot of art is kind of interactive.
Yeah.
Where if you move your head, the painting looks different. And it's because I would want the relationship to be between the painting and the viewer, and me myself Like, I'm just maybe like the parent. And like, I want my kids to live their own life.
You feel passive in your art. Like, when I look at your work or experience your work, I feel excited, intrigued.
No, yeah.
And I like
fun.
to play.
Yeah.
So it's all
playing.
about like, your work feels playful. It's inviting.
Yeah. And I think like, it's like, who needs to hear about people's influences and the things they like and the things they can do? Like, it's much more fun to like make something that can be living in the world than be maybe an image of the world. I want the art to be like existing in the present and not be existing maybe in the near past, or like a representation of someone's emotions and feelings or thoughts from a singular time, that in a year it will be a time capsule. Like, because with the pieces, I want them to be at any point, they'll be different pieces.
They'll evolve with you.
Yeah, and it's just, they become recontextualized as they move through time, but they never are attached to any kind of like human ego. And because art, I think, has its own, maybe art has its own ego in a way, an art piece itself, detached from the artist.
I think a physical object that is made with any intention has energy.
Yeah.
So I think art is energy. So like, when you're presented with the energy of something, like, you'll feel it, and it will change on the more viewers, because then the viewers will then become a part of the work too. But to that singular point, like, it was a painting that had your hand and your eyes on it, and it will feel that way, and then it will evolve as it has more experience with the world, just like we do.
It's never made. It maybe grows up, and that's what happens with art.
Yeah. Do you
so,
care about your intentions of the work being conveyed to the viewer?
I guess I used to a little bit more. Like, I'll be making the art, and it'll be kind of this directionless, like, I have practical structures, but a directionless improvisation. And then, like, post the art's creation, I go back and I say, okay, what's going on here? What ideas are similar? And then I just pull it all together and I say, okay, here's the intelligent way to contextualize my work. I'll have that, though, after I've started, like, creating a system. And then I continue to improv with that kind of a basis a little bit.
You're just like shedding.
But also, I'm always interested in like curation too. So I graduated school, moved to New York, and then I started this club and gallery with my brother called Apostrophe.
It's a Frank Zappa reference.
Yeah. Well, we were thinking of different names, and then I thought of Baby Snakes.
I like Baby Snakes.
And I wanted to call it Hillary Boob Gallery too.
Oh, yeah,
which would be fun.
Yeah.
But then I was like, maybe we need something that's more nondescript, where like it won't have any connotations, so that whatever we create,
it will grow.
Ends up making the word. So then we decided Apostrophe, because it was another Frank Zappa.
And that's perfect.
And it's also like the possessive. So Apostrophe is like everybody, it's theirs or whatever. So it was this gallery in Bushwick, and so the top floor was the gallery, and then the bottom floor was like this club.
Oh, fun.
And we built a fake wall where we had a bar behind it, and a painting would slide down so that it all disappeared, because it was all illegal and stuff.
Yeah.
And we just throw,
Because it was all illegal.
yeah. Well, yeah, because we ended up getting
yeah.
arrested like a year later.
For how long?
Only like 3 days, so not a
okay.
big deal. And
so holding cell.
Yeah. We
How'd
were
that
just
go?
in. It was fun. It was. I mean, no.
Did you say it was fun?
Yeah. I mean, it was okay.
Okay.
The first time that I got arrested was in high school, and I was just like, I'm just really curious all the time, and so I was like, I've never been arrested. It was like, it wasn't so scary, so much, because I knew I was just graffitiing, so I knew it wasn't that bad. I knew I wasn't gonna like go to prisons, because it's like graffiti's not that big of a thing, and but then and I was only in there for like a day or something, and then so the second time I kind of knew the experience of being arrested or whatever.
Were you all arrested together?
No, just me and my brother. But it was fun because I just got to chat with my brother the whole time. And then for some parts we were separated in different holding cells. But then there's just always nice people in jail.
I had actually an epiphany this weekend that I need to start teaching art classes in prisons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be.
But the third time I went to jail, I was so bored. I mean, not so bored. I was just like, I've had this.
You're done. I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
How long were you held then?
Only like 2 days.
Okay, what was that for?
That was just there was an outstanding warrant, and then I jumped a turnstile, and then I got Then I got thrown. Yeah, it was just dumb stuff because I was like an outstanding warrant for drinking in public, and I forgot I didn't pay that ticket.
Deal with that, yeah.
And it was a crazy time. There was a bunch of nut stuff we used to have. Like we'd have parties. The opening would start at 8, then around around 10, the party would kind of start, and that would go till around 3, and then there would be an after hours that would come around 4, and a bunch more people, and then we would end the party usually around like 8 or 9 the next morning or something.
You wild and crazy things.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. But at the same time, it's funny because for the first half of it, I had this idea that it was going to be like this place. I was like, we're going to get like all the coolest people in New York together, and we're all going to be like thinking about how we can revolutionize art and all these types of things. And it was just people getting wasted and doing drugs, and we were just like, because if you're just staying up all night and doing cocaine, you're not
revolutionizing the world. No, seriously though. And I think a lot of youth fall into that cycle.
And it's funny because like for a while I was like really frustrated, and then about halfway through I was like, well, this is really fun. And then I started just really enjoying it. I was like, partying is just fun, and let me just have a lot of fun.
For a bit.
Like, life is always happening, and there's always a way to enjoy it, because there's usually something that's happening in life that is like really cool, and looking back on it you'd be like, wow, that was really cool. But it's nice to like realize that as it's happening, because you get a little bit more enjoyment of it. And so that was about halfway through that I started figuring out how
being
to
able to
enjoy
it
it
and not try and control it.
Yeah, well, because it was like there was this one party, and there was just all these people dancing and going nuts who I didn't know. There was like just this whole room full of strangers who were like just having the greatest time. And there was like I had made these like light shows, and there was like crazy lights going everywhere, and all the walls were like filled with murals from friends and stuff.
Oh, fun.
And like everyone was dancing, having a great time. And like I remember there was just like a moment, and I was looking, I was like, wow, these are some people that we were just like hanging out. In high school we were just like drinking on rooftops and stuff. Oh, you guys were high school?
Yeah, we're high school friends.
Nice, yeah. But it's like, yeah, you're just like on rooftops drinking 40s or whatever, and you're like, we're going to be real cool people when we grow up. And then in this point, I was like, hey, we're cool people. we made it, yeah.
We're doing
cool
something.
People right now. Yeah.
There's people we don't know at our party. We made it.
People are really loving us right now.
Did that club end up getting shut down because of the police?
Yeah, the police, they ended up shutting it down. It was a crazy thing. Like, for the last few bits, we were, like, paying different off-duty officers for a little bit, and then we stopped paying them. So that was maybe, I don't know,
Where'd you get the money from? Can I ask that?
Oh, selling
work?
Oh, the money to start the club?
No, the study to pay. Well, I guess all the money. The money to pay off the people?
Weed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
all right.
my brother and I decided we watched this movie Blow, with Johnny Depp. He
Yeah,
starts selling weed, he makes a lot of money, then he starts selling coke, and he's super rich. and we were like,
that was your business
model?
We were
like, this movie
this works out.
makes so much sense. So we started, but we were like selling weed, and I was just so bad at selling weed. My brother, though, was really good. He's a real hustler. And like what I would do is like I'd go to some player's house, and I would get super thirsty maybe.
Yeah.
And I saw like a case of, this one time I saw this case of Martinelli's apple juice.
Uh-huh.
And
glass bottles?
Yeah, and I was like, I'll give you this eighth for the Martinelli's case. And they were like, yeah, totally.
Man,
and I was like,
so you were bartering too much.
yeah, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I have so much apple juice.
Yep.
But then I had no money.
Yeah.
I would
Checks
go
out.
as far to say that Martinelli's is worth an eighth.
Yeah, so yeah, we made the money. Like he had saved up like $10,000, and then we started the thing. But then within like 2 months, we were making like profit from just selling alcohol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we had a bar, and we would just
Yeah.
sell drinks, and they were cheap.
Yeah.
We'd sell like $3 beers and like $5 mixed drinks.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like we wanted to have like the club was kind of fun because there was like so many different types of people,
Walks
different
of
people
life,
were coming
yeah.
through. And so when you were there, I think no one felt self-conscious because there was no vibe. It was like the vibe
Yeah.
was such a mix of everything
Yeah.
that anyone could do whatever they wanted. And literally, people could just do lines off the bar or anywhere.
There was
People
no
were smoking
rules.
cigarettes and weed inside,
Yeah.
and there was no rules. And actually, the first time we made a bunch of money, we went to Costco and bought a bunch of kitchen supplies.
Oh.
We bought food processors.
Oh.
We bought 2 humidifiers and 4 air purifiers.
Was it hot as fuck in there?
Yeah. It was pretty hot. But yeah, then after it shut down, we were like, okay, what are we going to do? And then we thought, well, we don't have a space, so let's see what we can do with not having a space. And so we first did like a show on the subway station. We just hung art up and invited people and had like a little opening, and that was pretty fun. And it got
Which subway stop?
The Kosciuszko J stop.
Why that stop?
Because we needed an above ground one because of the way we were going to hang it
Was from the gate fences?
was from the gates with S-hooks. And so, and I think it was just random.
Okay.
It was kind of close by. So we did that. And the other thing is, like, while we were doing Apostrophe, the club spot, too, we were getting, like, some press and stuff.
Yeah.
And we got really into press and photo shoots. My brother and I, we would love to, like, have people take pictures of us and, like, interview, talking. And it's super fun. And that was kind of, I think, maybe one of the downfalls, too, is we were really public about everything, and so the cops very soon on
you
were
guys have all
this is
you've
an
left
illegal
just
operation.
crumbs.
yeah. They were like following us definitely for a while, because when they arrested us, they knew it was like our anniversary party, our 1 year anniversary. Yeah, they knew it. But actually, then after that, we decided we were doing these pop-up shows, and we were like, it's fun because they generate some kind of buzz and people are interested, but the momentum kind of dies when you don't have something else planned. So we're like, how do we figure out a situation where we can do a series of pop-up shows or a series of shows that continue to build momentum and create other opportunities? And then we were like, let's also bring in a group of artists and work with a consistent group of artists so that we can help these artists really build by having a series of shows. And also it was going to be like a hack to make all these artists' resumes look great so that they can have more opportunities.
Yeah,
so
seriously, because you can't make it alone.
Yeah. And we were like, we want to create the ultimate opportunity for different artists. So like as a gallery is like an opportunity.
Yeah.
But instead of just showing art, a gallery could be used to create opportunities beyond just showing the work. So that was the idea a little bit with Base 12. So then we had this project Base 12. So we got these 12 different artists together, and we did a show at the stairwell to Whitney. We just went in and put up art and whatever.
And you got in trouble for that?
Yeah, we got banned from the Whitney.
For life, right?
Yeah, that's what the guard told us. But I've been a bunch of times.
Oh, so
and also
ain't no
the
thing.
guy, the director of the Whitney, he said, it doesn't really matter.
Oh.
But actually, the funny thing with the Whitney is, like, when we were planning the pop-up shows, we were thinking, okay, in order for this project to be kind of successful, we need to get a lot of press from it because we can leverage that press coverage to do other things. And so we thought, okay, the Whitney had like just opened a couple years ago there, and it's American artists, and we were all Americans, and and also we went in like kind of like Ocean's 11 style and scouted the spot out.
Yeah.
We checked for the guard shifts and the cameras and all that kind of stuff, and it seemed like a pretty good one. They also have the free night, so it was going to be flooded with people. It was going to be easy to sneak stuff in. And so, so we did it, and we brought along a lot of photographers and some different people who we knew who wrote for different things. And then once we did it, we had all the documentation of the event, and we sent it out. We sent out huge press releases and stuff, and a whole bunch of things. And then it ended up getting picked up by some different. I forget who did it first, but it was like it made Vice or the New York Magazine.
It made some
I don't know.
shit.
Yeah, it was, but it got. And then as soon as the way that press seems to work is you get a little bit of press, and then if it's something that's topical, it'll go around pretty fast, and everyone will pick it up, and it'll be like a story for like whatever the week or something. And so we were able to generate a fair amount of press from that, and then the subsequent shows were less. It was like
PS1.
we'd get like we did MoMa PS1, and maybe like 2 articles came out or whatever. I'm always interested in the practicalities of how you can just do things. Like if you have limited resources, how can you really like jumpstart an art career or curation or different things?
I'll take advice.
Okay, yeah. Well, like one thing is alcohol is a great way to make money, and it's speedy and you can do it fast. So if you want to start a club, that's an easy way to generate
My dad's
money.
a judge.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it also is illegal. But then also like the thing is that I think that press is like a real great resource. And sometimes like planning a show is like you can think backwards of like what would someone be interested in writing about that would like make them want to pick up the article. What seems like topical, and because once you get press, if you go into like another situation, that was like the way we were at we got to Mana. So we went there, and we went to them, and at first we were like, also sometimes maybe it's like people are sometimes impressed by like blind confidence and arrogance a little bit. Like I think if you're arrogant a little bit in your ambitions, But
things happen.
maybe, arrogant in your ambitions, and maybe not arrogant in the way that you like treat
are
other
as a
people.
person, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
maybe like kind of, because
Just like this is gonna work out, but I'm not an asshole to everyone.
Like hopefully, because like
Yeah.
we went in there and we were like, so we're doing this project, and we had this whole plan. It was planned out with all these different shows and the pop-ups and everything. And we're looking for like a space to have a retrospective of all our work. And we were like, you guys have this huge giant room or whatever, and I mean, I think it would be a great space for it. It's like this 10,000 square foot place. And we we've written up this whole proposal, and we're like, here's what our retrospective would be like or whatever. And
You're like, you can't have retrospective. You're not even.
yeah,
30.
and we were like 23 years old or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like,
And so they were like, they were like, I don't think we're not gonna do a retrospective for you guys, but we have this like basement area, and we have this program if you guys want to curate a residency. And so we were like, okay, well, we're not just going to curate a residency. Here's the idea. We're going to go in, and we're going to have one space that's a gallery, and then all the artists we work with are going to have studios. So to walk through to the gallery, you have to walk through the studios. So it's like the idea of like the process and the outcomes and all this kind of stuff. And
which is good. I mean, it's great for me because I came from nowhere, so it was like.
Would you say you started from the bottom and now you're here?
I'm still at the bottom.
so I started from the bottom and I lifted off the lid, and now I'm watching that there's a sky from the bottom.
Oh,
That's what I would say I am.
Yeah.
We can get into my story after we record.
Oh, yeah,
If
yeah,
you're curious. If
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
curious, I don't have to tell
No,
you
I
anything.
really could. No.
It's okay. If I
Yeah.
appreciate honesty.
No,
so.
I want to get into it.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
tell you a little formal one after.
Yeah. No, it'd be good. But yeah, then at Monty, we were there. Originally, we were going to be there for 6 months. And then we saw kind of how disorganized their basement program was. So then we planned out we curated the next 6 months, an entire like curation.
Because you could take advantage of it.
Yeah, and we had every 2 weeks, we had a show planned and all
It's
this kind of
amazing.
stuff. Yeah.
Would you say you guys kind of changed Jersey City art scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I could just go ahead and, say that.
First we revolutionized the Bushwick party scene. The thing is, like, when you're a visionary and
you're a genius at age 13, you have a lot of
and you
leeway.
go through the world,
Yeah.
it's not an inevitable outcome, but you, yeah.
You can't continue the bit. It's hurting too much.
Yeah.
It seems that you do have like a almost business savvy. I mean, your family business is pretty much making art. So it's like you really. It seems like you know how to really navigate. that
Fucking around.
World. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Getting your stuff to where it needs to be.
We need to
Yeah,
work
yeah.
on that.
No, it's true. I mean, the thing is, it is like, well, I think like, it is like, I always think about this. Well, also for like the business thing, like my brother and I, we were like, when we were little, we like had lemonade stands. We were like probably 6 or
How
7.
do lemonade stands in New York City work?
Okay, they're really great. We were generating a lot of income.
Yeah, I'm sure, because you have a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
People don't even have to pull over. They just have to, like, walk.
Yeah, they just walked by. And what we did was we partnered with,
Oh yeah, collaboration.
so we were like 7 years old, and we partnered with our neighbors.
Yes.
So there were 3 other neighbors who lived on the blocks.
And they were chill?
Also within the ages of 8 and 5. So so they were
5's the cutoff.
Yeah. We didn't want to work with 4-year-olds
No.
because
If
you
you
don't
pee
want to
yourself,
work with you don't
get
want to
the
work with
fuck outta
babies if you're in the lemonade business. Okay,
This is
this is for
Children.
Children, not babies. Yeah. So our friend Key and then our other friend Fiona were the youngest. They were probably like 5 or so. And so they were the people at the stand because they were the youngest and the cutest.
Of course.
We were making the lemonade. So while they were selling it, we were making it. So there was a constant flow. So we never had any
Nice.
downtime. Yeah. And then if we were running out of ingredients, one of us would go to the store, but we'd still be making it. So there was never any,
had a
it was
good
a
supply
constant
chain.
flow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when we made a
That's New
couple.
York City for you.
Yeah. It's super efficient. When we had downtime in the kitchen, we made signs and stuff, and we would go to direct traffic from the avenues onto the block. And we would go up to people, like strangers, and be like, "Excuse me, sir," we were like 7 years old, "Would you come buy some lemonade? Would you like to buy some lemonade?" And we would get a lot of people coming
That's
in
you
off the
probably made
avenues.
so much money.
Yeah, we would make like $80
Yeah.
a piece. So that was like, what's that? It's like almost $500.
Yeah, that's like a.
We're
that's
working
a,
full time.
I
Because
got
we
it.
were in kindergarten,
And you
so
had
we
the
didn't
time.
have.
You had the time.
Yeah, so we had the time. And then we'd get some money, and I would spend most of my money on marbles. And my brother would save it up a little bit more. But I would save some.
Yeah.
Because marbles are like 10
They're
cents.
cheap.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
What did you like about marbles? I also like marbles.
Yeah. I probably like the shininess, which actually I still love shiny
Yeah,
stuff and
yeah.
and light moving through things. Like light moves through marbles in a really cool way. And even in my art now, I'm working with light. But also marble, I like collecting.
Collecting things.
But now I don't. I don't really own that much stuff.
Yeah, you have very
Yeah, I don't
very
really
little.
own anything. But marbles were fun. I think also as like a kid, you maybe it's like an instinctual thing, but you like collect, or at least I liked collecting and gathering. And maybe it's also because like as you're moving through the world, you're collecting and gathering like thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
And things. Like your whole life is collecting and gathering as a child. And so marbles were part of it.
Just
I
a
wanted
part-
to
yeah.
know about ideas, but I also just wanted a fat stack of marbles.
Yeah, that's right. That's truth.
Yeah.
How do you think social media has changed the art world?
Yeah.
Or how artists interact with each other?
Yeah.
Or
Well,
kind
I
of
think-
all of it, you know?
Yeah, I think one thing is it's definitely, I think it actually hasn't changed the actual art world that much, because like the art world still is really old school and functions in the same way. The same curators and galleries that were in power and
Are
like
still in
dominating the
power.
conversation in the 90s are still
Yeah.
doing that. And social media hasn't had an impact on that. And the pipelines that lead to those things and the networks and the connections are pretty similar.
Or human.
Yeah, and so I feel like it hasn't had that much of an impact on the art world defined that way.
Or at least the New York art world.
Yeah, the New York art world and the art scene. I think social media is maybe a better tool for, like with the Black Lives Matter protests that was recently and stuff, like that was really cool. Instagram was like a really cool tool
Pivotal
to just like
tool.
see where all the marchers were so you could know what time to go and stuff to everything.
Sharing information was crucial.
Yeah, and like there, I thought Instagram was like pretty effective.
Yeah.
And like for me personally, in terms of art, it hasn't really been that effective. Or I mean, I haven't really noticed
Yeah.
anything. Although I never know, because sometimes out of the blue, like people will reach out and like want to do a show or different things, or like want to buy art or stuff. And I don't know where they're finding my art, but maybe it's Instagram, but I don't think so. I think maybe it's like websites and like articles and things.
Do you think it's easier to judge other artists before you meet them because they have like a thing that socially lives there? Like I just
Maybe. Yeah. I guess it could be. Well, I think the thing is like I have a lot of perspectives and notions and ideas and beliefs, but I hold them all pretty loosely. They're pretty
Yeah.
strong beliefs in the moment, but I don't really hold on to points of view so intensely.
Do you have
or
any
ideas. Yeah.
really strong points of view that help govern your life?
I guess the one thing would be, yeah, I don't really have. I don't think beliefs are. I don't really have. Yeah, I don't like beliefs. I guess. I think it's fun to have faith in things.
Okay.
And maybe not believe them.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I would say is always like. It was always good to keep learning, because like sometimes I notice maybe some older people, they maybe stopped learning when they finished grad school in like the 80s, and like all thought has changed since then. And so your ideas get stuck, and it's always good to not let your ideas get stuck. And that's one of the reasons I don't hold on to beliefs, is I don't want beliefs to be stuck in time.
Is it
I
fair
like
to
the
say that you're
fluidity.
not a religious man?
No. Yeah. Not ideologically, but
Yeah.
I love cults.
Are-
No, I'm just joking. But no, I've been told sometimes people would follow me. They said if I started a cult, and I've considered it. But in the same way, someone told The Rock that they'd vote for him as president, and he's considering it. But I think he's gonna stick to like Fast Five movies or the Fast and Furious series.
Yeah.
So
He's made a hell of a
similarly, I'm
career.
not gonna go into cults.
Yeah.
I'll probably stick to art. And me and The Rock have a lot of similarities in that respect.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But no, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Are you
I don't have
spiritual?
any- not really. I never grew up with any kind of spirituality or anything, and I'm not really. Oh well, when I was little, actually, I ate wish cookies. There was a box of cookies, and it said if you eat this cookie, you get a wish. So I devoured the entire box to get wishes for life.
Yeah.
And I think actually the weird
worked?
thing, yeah, whenever I wish for something, it comes true.
Huh. Maybe
Well,
you're
most of the time.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I guess I do believe in wishes.
You sound like an evil genius because of the thunder, not because you're a genius.
Oh well.
Just
well,
you know, I just
Well, if you want, I could wish it away.
Do you have any plugs? How do you want to plug yourself in?
Not really, but if anyone knows, I would love to start auditioning for movies. I don't really want to be in movies because I think I'd detract from them because I'm not a great actor, but I think auditioning would be a fun hobby to take up. So I don't know how that's done. If someone contact me, I'd love to just show up to auditions just for fun.
And just fuck around?
Yeah, because the thing is, like, sometimes I think of all life as a performance.
This is a performance. The sky is performing for us.
And also the thing is, like...
So you have no website?
Oh, yeah, I have a website. It's sei-smith.com.
Okay.
Also, just Google me, dude.
Yeah.
No, just you can find me on the internet.
Amazing.
But press is just so funny because I think that, like, since I don't really hold such strong beliefs, I like it as like a encapsulated of like all the random stuff I was spouting off at the mouth at a certain time, and I'll look back and be like, usually I'll be like, oh man, I'm so stupid. What an idiot. I think I'm so funny all the time, and I'm such an idiot.
That happens to me a lot too, unfortunately.
Yeah. As talking heads, we'd be a lot better. And yeah, if we want to be truly naked, we have to burn down the house in that way.
Yes, wow, that was so many references all in one.
No, I don't know. I guess maybe one nugget of advice I would say is that, like,
we're in for nasty weather.
Yeah. I guess the thing is, like, you could never take yourself so seriously, but it's really you have to be serious in order to do that. In order to not take yourself seriously, it's a serious endeavor.
All right, well, that is that, and this is this, and that is nothing, and there you have it.
Yeah. You tell me what you want, and I tell you what you get.
So we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you, Sei Smith. Go check him out. Cool dude. I'm Sid Williams. We have Ian Eckstein, and that's that. Yeah, this is Tip and Tell.
And here's what else you need to know today.
It's hot as fuck, and it's thundering, and it's gonna rain, and that's the weather. Back to you, Sid.
Thanks, Ian.
And I'll tell you guys one other thing. My little brother used to watch Paddington Bear all the time, and from age 2 to 3, he had a British accent.
Bye.